Hello and welcome to Mabinda TV. So for now, this is the Daily Show KE, where I bring you about the latest my take on the top issues of the day in Kenya, Africa, and the world. So basically, right now, Azziad Nasenya is said to be faking life. Azziad Nasenya is said to be faking life. Then Eric Latiff moves over from Spice FM to Nation FM. So what does that portend? And of course, Uhuru to Gen Zs, you must fight for your rights. That's what former President Uhuru says. That is, he tells the Gen Zs, you must fight for your rights. So what next? What does that mean? And of course, then that is Trump was sworn in on Monday as the 47th U.S. president. What does that mean for Africa, for Kenya, Africa, and the world? And of course, we saw America withdrawing from WHO, that is World Health Organization, and of course the Paris Climate Agreement, and of course what else? What do you think about that? And let's start with Azziad Nasenya. Basically, Azziad Nasenya came to the limelight through TikTok. I think she is the most famous TikToker in Kenya. Basically, she is the queen of TikTok in Kenya. So she came to the limelight after that song Utawezana Kweli, Utawezana Kweli. Of course, she remixed that song, and that's how she became famous. That is Azziad Nasenya. So now it appears she's in some kind of depression. Basically, she has been told to take it slow. Basically, she is having mental health issues. Apparently, she's deep in debt. So basically, she borrowed, I think, the video that went viral, she borrowed 400,000 shillings to be able to sustain her lifestyle. That is Azziad Nasenya. So basically, do you think celebrities are living beyond their means? Are Kenyan celebrities faking it? The other day, during the Mungai Eve Liz Jackson podcast, you heard Liz Jackson saying, if you can't lend me 500k urgently, then basically, are we friends? How are we friends if you cannot lend me 500k urgently for me to move my stock from Mombasa to Nairobi? That's what the co-host of the girl podcast, that is a she podcast, that is Liz Jackson, told Mungai Eve. She told her audience, if you cannot lend me 500,000 shillings, then how much of a friend are you to me? Are you really my friend? So you can imagine the kind of pressure celebrities are putting on each other. So basically, Instagram is just about faking it. There is no other purpose for Instagram other than just scrolling and scrolling through the news feeds, and then you see I am in a holiday in Mombasa. My child is going to Montessori school. Basically, I'm going to this Radisson Hotel. I'm going to Kempinski Hotel. That is how celebrities are faking it. But is it really their lifestyle? That's what we need to ask. Why are we putting pressure on young people for nothing at all? Why should we be putting pressure on young Kenyans, on young people to be able to live a seven-figure lifestyle? Sometimes I think the purpose of Instagram is to sell us seven-figure lifestyles. I think that's just the purpose of Instagram, to be able to sell us seven-figure lifestyles when we are not able to be in that kind of we don't earn that kind of money. So people are faking it. People are faking that they're buying new cars, and people are faking that they're driving in helicopter. They are flying on a helicopter. They are being proposed in a helicopter. You heard the other day, the former girlfriend of Caliph Cairo, who is reported to be a billionaire, although I think that's an exaggeration. You have the wife, the former girlfriend of that is Caliph Cairo, who is reported to be a billionaire. You heard Sarah Imani say that that ring, that engagement ring, gold engagement ring that was projected to be about 500,000 shillings never left the Indian shop. So you can see, and you can imagine the fans of Caliph Cairo now know that she was gifted a wedding ring of 500,000 shillings. But Sarah Imani says that the ring never left the Indian shop. So why are we faking it? Basically, this is now Instagram is now just an avenue for faking lifestyles, and that's not just it. I think we need to be able to live within our means, and that is why there is mental health issues, because someone sees people never post their bad day. People don't post their bad days on Instagram. On X, on TikTok, people don't post about their bad days. People only post about that something is happening in their life. When we know that people are suffering out here, people are really suffering out here. Basically, with the root economy, people are really suffering out here. But you won't see it on Instagram feeds. You won't see it by the Instagram feed. So I think we need to take life a little bit slower, and we need to recognize that our celebrities, yes, they are earning some good money, but they have not yet lived like Hollywood celebrities. Let's just face the facts. Let's face the facts. Our celebrities quite don't earn the mega millions that they claim to earn. I think maybe they earn around 300 or 200,000 shillings per month. Maybe they're about there, or 100,000 shillings per month, but they are nowhere near to earning millions that will sustain a life of daily partying, a life of partying daily, a life of going to the movies daily, a life of hanging by the swimming pool every day. I don't think Kenyan celebrities are yet there. I think when you see the kind of, I think it was Calligraph Jones who posted how much he earns from his music. It was really just 3,000 shillings that he got from his from his royalty payment from MCSK. I think from the Music Copyright Society of Kenya, MCSK. That is 3,000 shillings. So even the mall that he has built, where people call his house a mall, but basically I think he does some side businesses, and I don't think very few Kenyan musicians exist by Kenyan celebrities exist by their craft alone. I think they do side businesses. They do on the side businesses so that then they can sustain themselves. So you can't see that very much our celebrities are faking it, and it's not just good. It is not just good. We are putting pressure on youngsters to be able to live a seven-figure lifestyle. That seven figures, basically over 1 million shillings per month, and the kind of pressure we are putting on our kids. You saw the other day Bahati really counting a word of cash to his wife Diana Marua. Basically, so Bahati, basically, I think it was a promotion of CBK New Notes. I don't think that was the money that Bahati had. I just think it was a promotion by CBK, Central Bank of Kenya, maybe a new word of cash. So you can see that very much our celebrities are faking it, and that is something that we must do, and it is doing a great disservice to our youngsters. Basically, you saw in Australia, I think the kids under 16 are banned from social media because they realize this thing, the business model of social media companies is premised on scrolling and scrolling through, so that you never leave the platform. I think there is a drug, is it cortisol? There is a drug, an enzyme that is unleashed when you keep on scrolling and seeing this fast-paced lifestyle. So I think that is how it is. So I think that basically what we need to be having is basically have what we need to be having is have basically some time out of social media. Maybe go to social media and just know these are not real people. These are people that are faking it. People are out here struggling. People are out here going through things, and you will never tell it on Instagram. I think there should be a disclaimer on Instagram. Maybe they should empower mental health practitioners to be able to enact policies such that our teenagers especially, are not affected by this constant reposting of seven-figure lifestyles. So I think these seven-figure lifestyles just don't exist at all. And then so that's about Azziad Nasenya, basically in depth. That is Azziad Nasenya being in depth of that is that is Azziad Nasenya being in debt, being her video going viral on having a debt of 400,000 shillings. So you can see that we are faking it, and basically we should stop. There are no jobs in Kenya currently. Businesses are not doing well. You are finding that businesses are not doing well, but we don't see it in Instagram. We don't see it. Businesses are not doing well. Companies are closing down. Companies are closing down. You have domestic violence in homes because men are no longer able to provide for their families, so they unleash it on their wives, of course. So that is domestic strife. So basically, studies show that during times of economic upheaval, basically there is there is domestic strife at home. So these things are not being captured on social media. Social media is just about the fast-paced life, a seven-figure lifestyle, and I think that should stop. We should be telling our youth the real picture. We should not be hiding. We should not be pretending that everyone is living a large life. So that's it about Azziad Nasenya and her video going viral on a six-figure lifestyle. And then, of course, I will move over to basically another thing. I will move over to basically that is Eric Latiff moving over from Spice FM to Nation FM. So what does this mean? So Eric Latiff has left Spice FM. He is going to go to Nation FM. So what does that mean? That means that Spice FM has lost a key anchor of its Situation Room. Remember, Space FM pioneered talk radio. It was not the first, but it was the first successful one. Nation Media also had the same concept in 2016 of wanting to be a station for the middle class, because you have the other station being about ratchet content, that is Classic 105. You have it being of ratchet content. So basically they talk about relationships and nothing more. That is Classic 105. They talk about relationships and nothing more. So basically when they talk about relationships, it's basically about that is a man or a woman dating or cheating. That is a sort of content that is promoted by Classic 105. Maybe on 1 or 2 days when the mood of the country is really on a certain issue, maybe a certain prominent person has died of cancer, maybe Classic FM will change tune a bit on that day and talk about how to prevent cancer, as they talked maybe when Bob Collymore died, or maybe they could talk about Mandamano or corruption when it becomes a headline news, or maybe when there are protests about corruption, the high level corruption in the country. But for the most part, Classical 105 talks about ratchet content, and it appears the middle class are really they want that sort of content. But I think Kenya is a TV market. What I mean by TV market is like Mexico. I think I got this from Abel Mutua. I think Kenya is a TV market. A TV market is basically people are so stressed out by politics, by their jobs are so stressed out that they want just entertainment throughout. That is why they call Kenya a TV market. Kenya is grouped as a TV market along with the likes of Mexico. So you can imagine. So that shows you the level of stress Kenyans are under. Their politics is not working out. They go to industrial areas, they slave out in those companies from some line up as early as 5 a.m. in this Indian company so that they can employ it for the day. So you can imagine the kind of stress these people have. So when they go out back to their homes, they want nothing else except entertainment, and that is why Kenya is called a TV market along with Mexico. Look at where we get the soap operas from. The soap operas, almost all of them come from maybe Mexico, and that is why I think online content that sells the most in Kenya is about celebrity couples, online couple. I think that is the content that sells the most. That is about online celebrity couples, and so you have the likes of Nicholas Kioko and Wambo Ashley. You have the Rui family. You have Casey and Biko, and of course you have so many ones, so many like Kabi or Jesus and Millie or Jesus. So basically, these are the kind of content that sells because Kenya is basically a TV market. So that people are so stressed out. The only thing they want is entertainment. So Eric Latiff leaving Spice FM. So basically, they're not going to talk about the deep issues of the day. I think many people had really found content in Spice FM talking about the deep issues of the day. And why wouldn't Standard Group give him even a 1 million shilling in salary? Because he was really carrying the brand of the country, the brand of the company, that is Standard Media Group. Then it shows that Standard Media Group is in some kind of a turmoil. That shows that Standard Media Group is in some kind of a turmoil. If it cannot pay Eric Latiff well, then it shows that they are in some kind of a turmoil. So basically, maybe the likes of Royal Media or Nation Media Group, they are raiding Standard Media Group because they cannot sustain salary. So that shows you crony capitalism in Kenya is real. Crony capitalism is real because the time when Moi was in power, KTN was Standard Media Group was a go-to station. So basically, you have Standard Media Group being going through financial turmoil, and that's why then they cannot afford to pay the likes of Eric Latiff their due wages. Eric Latiff really should have been in the range of 1 million shilling plus per month. These people are paid, I think, is in the range of Jeff Koinange. I think Jeff Koinange is the highest paid journalist in the country. I think he gets about 2 million shillings a month. That is Jeff Koinange. But then I think now he will be setting the agenda on Nation FM. But I think the future of urban radio, the future of urban radio is in real time commentating. The future of urban radio is in talk radio because we can't stream the music ourselves. We can't stream the music ourselves. So I think the future of urban radio is in commentating, and that's how we can ensure that basically we get. That's how we can ensure that we get the right kind of content. And remember, in Africa, I think the Kenyan middle class have woken up. They have realized that basically this thing of creating a parallel state just doesn't work. Creating a parallel state. Kenyan middle class are taking their children to private schools because of the poor quality public schools. They are taking their kids to they are taking their kids to urban. They are taking their kids to public schools, so that shows it is not working. Then they are taking their going to private hospitals. They are getting private insurance, but that goes out of the window when they realize they have a debilitating disease such as cancer. Then the insurance runs out in just under 2 weeks, and then they have to sell land in order to pay for that bill. So you can see how very much the Kenyan parallel state is not working. So the issue is about bad governance. You cannot escape bad governance. Basically, they are living in gated communities. So when there is power blackout, there is a generator. So that makes them to be questioned against the lack of governance in the country. But then when they get a debilitating disease such as cancer, that's when they realize that really we should be concerned about governance. There is nothing as great as a country that is ruled by governance. You have this senator from Busia, Okiaom. Sorry, excuse. You have the senator from Busia, Okiaom Tata, saying that the country just has to stay on the rule of law, has to stick by the rule of law in order to enact the changes. So I think part of the media being involved in politics is stations such as Spice FM. So part of the middle class, the reason the middle class in Kenya is involved in politics is because of a station such as Spice FM, and I think that should be the continuation of urban media, and that is how urban media will be able to define themselves. And so when you get, and so basically it used to be that the political process in Kenya used to be a pact between the downtrodden, the super rich who provide the funds and make the decisions, and the downtrodden poor who act as the foot soldiers of the super rich. So basically, the middle class are not involved in that. So you can see the middle class are not involved in that. So that says very much that the middle class is left out. And yet, when Kenya burns, when Africa burns, the super rich will just fly away, while the poor have known nothing else except poverty. So it is the middle class with the significant investments that will feel the pain, the pain of misgovernance. When Kenya burns, it is not the super rich will just fly away, while the poor have known nothing else except poverty, and so it is the middle class with their significant investments that will suffer. So basically, I think that right now what we need to be doing Right now, what we need to be doing is to ensure that the middle class is in some form of, we need to ensure that the middle class is in some form of, maybe gets to engage in the deep issues of the day, and that is what a station such as Spice FM encouraged by talking of the deep issues of the day. Of course, it was more of an interview kind of situation, and so I think that is how it could go on. Look at the likes of the American talk radio, such as Dan Bongino of, I think, Talk Radio 101, I think Miami, Florida 101. Look at that is Brian Show. Look at Brian Kilmeade of Fox News. So basically, for them, they have moved away from music. They are in just talk radio commentating, and that is how they are able to survive from maybe urban radio being just about streaming of music. And I think the audiences of this talk radio are very loyal. They would want to support businesses that sustain their talk radio. So I think if Space FM were to continue in that line, it would have gotten clients to basically subscribe to those businesses that then would have basically endear the middle class to such stations. So basically, you can see. So what do you think about Eric Latiff making a move to Nation FM? Of course, Nation FM tried talk radio in 2016. I think it was under Jimmy Gazu, and I think they had Jimmy Gazu, and of course. They had Jimmy Gazu, and they had some PhD holders to be able to steer the morning conversation, but it never happened. So that's how then they did not. That's how Nation FM died down. So they had to close down Nation FM and only reopened, I think, in 2021, or was it in 2020? So that then they would be able to they will be able to talk about the deep stuff of the middle class. Remember, Nation FM has been trying to replicate the success of Nation newspaper, but it has been a mixed bag, because remember also Nation TV, NTV tried, I think they tried a 3-hour program. They called it PM Live in 20 was it in 2010, 2011? They tried this PM Live. Basically, it was talking about basically the deep issues of the day in business, in education, but it never got to gain ground. So that's how Citizen TV then came up with their local programming. I think for Citizen TV, it was being the bottom of the pyramid. They went out with the bottom of the pyramid, that is Citizen TV. That's how they got the likes of Papa Strandler, Tidy High, and I think those are the programs, and Inspector Mwala, those are the programs that made Citizen TV embrace local programming, and that's how they managed to be able to go all the way to be the #1 station in Kenya. So now they command about 65% market share in the TV market. So you can imagine how local programs put that is Citizen TV on the map. And of course, the Nigerian Afro cinema continues shortly. Who remembers that? So they pandered to the house managers who were in the house at that time at 9 a.m. when everyone had left for work. It was the house managers with Afro cinema continuing shortly that were able to maybe watch, and of course Citizen TV became a favorite. That's before the advent of that is the likes of DSTV and multi-choice that came with preloaded Nigerian movies. So now I think Citizen TV was doing badly, but now it is doing well. So what do you think about the future of urban radio? What do you think about the future of urban radio? So that's it then. Uhuru to Gen Zs. Uhuru to Gen Zs, you must fight for your rights. It is okay for President Uhuru to be telling the Gen Zs to be fighting for their rights. So basically, the Gen Zs, I think the Mandamano subsided, and I think that's because it did not have structure. You know, you need change, but also you need structure in change so that then you can have people that are pushing, but it is leaderless, it is tribeless, and that's why maybe it did not go far. But I think the Generation Alpha, the Gen Zs and Generation Alpha will take that through, and maybe someday there will be some sort of leadership that will force the likes of the Ruto administration to go back to the drawing board and really serve their people. So when the Gen Zs are revolting, Ruto says, the president says that it is children that have gone wayward, that are not being guided by their parents. So basically, what Ruto see, what the Gen Zs see as clamoring for their rights, you have the Ruto administration seeing as a misbehavior, as children going haywire. So basically, I think the Gen Zs say that the millennials plus the Generation X plus the baby boomers, they sold them out. They never championed for change. And so basically, the Gen Zs are saying they are not going to hold it like they are going to fight for their rights to ensure Kenya is governed well. And I think that inspired some sort of movement in Nigeria, where they also had their protests. But I think the ones in Nigeria, they were bribed by a bag of rice. So basically now, what next for the Gen Zs? Former President Uhuru has said the Gen Zs must fight for their rights. So I think right now it should be about issues. Now we need to move away from social media, go and take up the voters' cards so that then we can make our say, our opinions heard in the ballot paper, so that then from here we go straight to ballot papers, and then we make our opinion heard. The Gen Zs make their opinion heard. So they need the next practical steps for the Gen Zs should be to take a voter's card, to register as voters, and then go and remove the Ruto regime if they feel that the Ruto regime is not really working for them, because they promise, they say tutafanya, tutatenga, tutaeza, but they never do a thing in the long run. So the Gen Zs need to take this, participate in the political process, and of course there will be people that are asking, but who is your leader? But I think they need to register and also run for these political seats, so that then you can enact change from within. Of course, sometimes this system swallows up even the good-natured people among us, but I think it is time that the Gen Zs really put their house in order, then they can go and show their feelings. I think the last time there were about 8 million people that did not cast their votes. In the 2022 elections, there are 8 million people that did not cast their votes. So you can imagine that's a significant percentage that could have altered the trajectory of the election if these 8 million people would have cast their votes, but 8 million Kenyans did not cast their votes. So you can imagine, bad leaders are elected by good people that don't turn up at the polling booths. That's just the way it is. Bad leaders are elected by good people that don't turn up to vote. Don't just say both sides are bad. You have to find a way to be able to ensure that your candidate is able to be elected. So how do we do that? We do that by ensuring that these people go and take maybe their voters card, go and then we fundraise for them so that they can stand up for elections. That's what we need to do. We need to be able to make sure that these people, we can also fundraise for them. Look at Morara Kebaso, who has the Vampire Diaries. It is people that are funding him to be able to go out and unearth all these projects that consumed billions of shillings. But then nothing came out of these projects because we are taking in debt but these projects have no bearing on people's lifestyles. We are taking in depth, but the projects have no bearing on people's lifestyles, and that's why then it is essential that we plan and make sure that we have leaders that we can fundraise for them, and when we fundraise them, we will own them. That's what happens in America. Don't think even as Donald Trump is a billionaire, he had to fundraise us, but that is very different in Africa and in Kenya. Basically, it is the drug dealers that fund our politicians. It is money launderers that fund our politicians. It is the corrupt thieves that fund our politicians. Then when they get to office, what's the first order of business? The first order of business becomes that we must get our money back. We must get our money back. So for the next 3 years, they do nothing else except to recoup their campaign money, and then the next 2 years is to steal for the next election. So nothing happens at all when Kenya is in, and nothing happens at all when Kenyans go to the polling booths. But if you can imagine, part of the success of America is that the leaders have always been drawn from the middle class. That's part of the success of America, that the leaders have always been drawn from the middle class, and that is why then you have people saying that what the Gen Z should be doing is to go and take up the voters card. Then we contribute to the political candidates. Even if it's 10 shillings, that can go a long way. Even if it's 100 shillings, that can go a long way in enabling our the most able leaders to stand. And maybe they also need to sit for a civic test, so that we know if they really know the issues at hand. And maybe we can even go further, they sit for an aptitude test. Then we can know that they are really one of us, and they want us to be able to they want us to be able to succeed. I think that's how then we are going to be able to ensure that Kenya is on a growth trajectory. We should be in the level of Singapore. We should be in the level of Malaysia. Kenya should be on the level of South Korea. Kenya should be on the level of Asian tigers, but they left us behind because they were guided by able leaders that had the foresight and the vision to ensure that their countries prospered. But we've had thieves, we've had dictators all through, we've had thieves, people that steal public money and go and loot that money and store it in tax havens. What does it help? Who remembers now President Moi? The Gen Zs and the Generation Alphas don't even remember President Moi, but look at the way he looted the country. Right now, their grandchildren cannot even have that money. So this is why are we chasing the wind when we want to accumulate wealth incessantly? Why do we want to accumulate wealth incessantly when we will leave the material possessions behind? Why do we do that when we know that even however much we steal, will not get out of this world without wealth? So why should we be stealing to the tune of billions, tens of billions of dollars? I can guarantee you the Moi family, right now, that wealth has not even reached the grandchildren. So I can guarantee you that the Gen Zs need to fight for their rights, but it should be, the Gen Zs need to fight for their rights, but it should be structured. We should have enabling environment for political discourse to take place. And then finally, President Trump was sworn in on Monday, January 20th. So what does that mean for the world? Of course, America is going to be isolationist. So that means America is going to isolate itself. It has already withdrawn, started the process of withdrawing from the WHO, World Health Organization, withdrawing from it has started the process of withdrawing from Paris Climate Agreement, and so that shows you that America means business. America is going to be isolationist. Of course, America has its own internal challenges, but sometimes it acts as a big brother, as the world's policeman. So maybe it is a good thing that America is no longer interested in being the world's policeman. That is, America has always acted as being the world's policeman, so that is going out of the way. But of course, then the meaning for Trump's election on presidency in Africa is that Africa does not matter. We don't matter that much in the international scheme of things. In the global scheme of things, Africa does not matter. That's how much over, that's how much over, and that's how much over underdeveloped we are. We don't matter in the global scheme of things. So basically, we are a footnote in America's foreign policy. So that whether it's a Democratic or Republican administration, Africa is a footnote. Look at President Biden. He came only in the sunset of his presidency. After the US election, he came, I think, in December to visit that is Angola. I think they are constructing a railway line. And what are they constructing a railway line? To be able to ship off mineral resources from Africa to the coast of Angola. So basically, we are an aid and humanitarian hotspot. Our work is just to economically, is just to supply material resources, raw materials to the developed world. That's what Africa exists for, and that is why we are not punching our weight. So I would hope that Africa really punches its weight and becomes that training becomes an engine of growth for the world. We are the next gold rush after China, so why do we make it? Don't we capitalize on that? We are the next gold rush after China. We have over 10 million college graduates in Africa who can work well, can be paid wages that are commensurate with their work, and don't need to be able to be retrained. So we have the skills in Africa. So why can we not make Africa leapfrog the rest of the world? We can. Look at DR Congo. DR Congo is mineral potential is $30 trillion, but that's only if it converts copper to electronics, if it converts titanium to aeroplane parts, if it converts uranium to nuclear parts, nuclear power, if it converts coffee beans to coffee drinking chains, if it converts that is gold and diamonds to jewelry, if it converts cotton to designer clothes, that's how we will be able to prosper. Value addition. Remember, Professor Pierre Lumumba says Africa produces what it does not consume and consumes what it does not produce, losing trillions in both occasions. I will repeat that Africa produces what it does not consume and consumes what it does not produce, so that in the process we lose trillions in both occasions. So you can see that Africa very much is a laughing stock in the world, and that is why I would believe that we need to be able to we need to be able to make sure that Africa is at a place where we are able to do the needful, we are able to punch our weight. We cannot be a footnote in the foreign policy of these countries. These countries, if their Congo is worth $30 trillion, then Africa should be worth about $500 trillion. So you can imagine that basically we are basically a footnote in the foreign policy of these countries, and that needs to change. That needs to change, so that then Africa is able to leapfrog the rest of the world and be a shining city on the hill, and that's the way we will be able to prosper. So that's it. Then finally, in American politics, inside deep, who should be the next leader of the Democratic Party? Now that they have been whitewashed by the Republicans, I think the next leader of the Democratic Party needs to be someone that panders to the working class. The Democrats cannot pander to both the working class and the billionaire class. They have to choose their bed and lie on it. They cannot be pandering to the billionaire class at the same time pandering to the working class. They just have to choose their bed and lie on it. So if it is going to be about pandering to the working class, then we must be able to nakuja saitu, then we must be able to pander to I think Africans, I think Democrats must be able to pander to the working class, and that's the way they will be able to make sure that they are able to at least bring the American worker, because remember, the American worker, even though the American company has benefited the most from globalization, but it is the American worker that has been the most undercut by globalization. So globalization has really affected the American workers. They are doing the design in America, but production in China, in low-wage countries such as China. So I think according to Bernie Sanders, he says that in the last 50 years, the poorest 50%, 90% of Americans have transferred at least $50 trillion of their wealth to the top 1%. So that shows you that basically the inequalities in America are outstanding. I'm not saying that there should be a wholesome redistribution of wealth. I'm not saying Robin Hood mentality, rob the rich to benefit the poor. What needs to happen is that the middle class must be empowered. And if the middle class is empowered, then I think America can return to its glory days. But then America elected a billionaire, so then you wonder, what is it really that Americans want? How do you elect a billionaire to be able to take care of the poor Americans? So that is something that I think we need to be looking forward to. And that is something that we must be able to look into. How dare America elect billionaires into office? Look at Elon Musk. Will he be doing the government, the work of the government? Or will he basically be just getting federal contracts? So you let me know in the comment section. So now you can get my two books, that is the 1% continent, how Africa can rise up. Look at the description box and be able to read the first 20 pages for free. Then you can buy the book. And then the other one is give us your best and brightest. How does Africa why does Africa lose its best pencil? Read the first 10 pages for free. Then if you find it insightful, kindly make a purchase. So that's it for now. Bye for now, and make sure you kindly like and subscribe. Bye for now.